The 31st of January, the media center Ukraine of Ukraine Forum is going on with its work. My name is Svetlana Chaparenko. Now we are speaking about the electricity price growth in Ukraine, and we have Oleksandr Kharchenko, director at the Energy Industry Research Center. Hello, Oleksandr. Could you please turn on your mic? So you will get help now. I think that now I'm heard. Yes, so now we can see the issue of tariffs increased issue raised. So what are the objective reasons for that? Let me be honest and sincere. I do not see any objective reasons for the price growth at all. I can see objective reasons for the comprehensive reform of what is named the market of electrical energy here, because honestly, as of today, I am assessing the risks of the chaotic and totally uncontrollable and bad situation with the money turnover, payments, and very harsh special obligations which are on different energy companies, which are provided totally chaotically. Now they pose a much higher threat for the energy sphere than even missiles and drones from Russia, because we already know what to do with missiles and drones. We understand how to respond. But unfortunately, the financial crisis, which is of high scale, and we are speaking now about dozens of billions of hryvnia, so if we calculate all of that together, it's closer to 100 billion hryvnia. Without the gas market, it's only about electrical energy market. And if we add gas, it's even scary to look at the price, at the figures. Let us be sincere. The Ukrainian energy does not have any sources where to get money, neither for the recovery or for the repairment or for maintenance till the next heating season. But it will take place. Yes, we are still in the middle of the previous one, but it will be eventually over and we need to get ready to the next one. And the energy sector does not have money at all. And the tariffs for the population in this story are playing such a minuscule, just tiny role. They are such a small part of the problem that just saying that the tariffs should be increased is absurd, in my opinion. If you'd like to create maximum of issues, of course you can discuss that. But if you'd like to solve the situation with the money in the energy sector, then the tariffs for the population are such a tiny point that we shouldn't pay attention to that first and foremost. And the issue is that I do not see now in the government any discussions about how this problem can be systematically solved. So the MPs are coming out and saying, let us increase the prices for the population. Why for the population? The prices for the population in the picture of debts is taking only 10%. The majority of the debts are because of the inadequate position and inadequate work of the regulator, let us be sincere. The National Commission on Regulation of Markets of Electrical Energy and Communal Services is not performing its job, and it's not doing for a long period of time at all. And it provoked the government for many administrative steps, introduction of lots of helps and mechanisms to somehow support the market of electrical energy and for it to get at least some money and to work. But the result is awful. The debts are increasing, it is not becoming better, and I'm totally sure that the usual increase of the prices for the population can not only solve the problem, but it is impossible to solve them at all. But the tariffs for electrical energy are not the market level. Yes, they're not of market level, they're fixed and they are approved by certain authorities, but if they've been off the market level, the situation would be totally different. But again, the tariffs, the prices for the population, just imagine if we suddenly introduce that the market level of them, and we did not solve any other issues, then it will not solve the overall issue at all. Let us still imagine that we are approaching the stage when we need to increase the price for the population. What is the market tariff then? And what could be the real price after the changes initiated now? This is the issue, that the market prices are fluctuating even during the 24 hours, and they are changing really substantially. Recently, I had a conversation with my colleague from Finland. I made a call when they had really cold temperatures, and he said, you know, I'm having all of my clothes on sitting at home because I had to turn off the heating. And I asked why. He said, well, because during the day our price is increasing so much that I think it's not efficient to turn on heating during the day. I'm turning it on in the evening. It's cheaper in the evening. So this is the work of the person under the conditions when he has the market tariff. His price for electricity is changing all the time. Honestly speaking, at night it will be cheaper than now, including the price for the population, of course, and during the day it will be the same, because when we have wind and solar stations working, the prices are decreasing again, and during the peak hours it will not be like now, but at least 2.5 times higher. But it will be for 4 hours a day. So just pose a question, how will you consume under such conditions? Obviously, you will know that during some hours, you shouldn't turn on electricity at all. And you will think about that. Or you will search for the company which will deliver electricity in the mode which is the most convenient and efficient for you, efficient commercially, considering who will offer the biggest savings, because there will be the competition. Now it's a totally monopoly situation. It's totally inadequate for everyone. The tariffs, which honestly, on the one hand, undoubtedly are a negative factor, but on the other hand, we can see more negative factors which are influencing the lack of money at the level of electrical energy. But you're emphasizing that we need the reforms of the market. What should it foresee? It should foresee several points. First of all, it should foresee the definition of the responsible person for those who is not paying. Because as of now, we don't have the responsible person. It exists nominally, but not really. For instance, there is a certain number of companies which are socially important and significant, but they are not paying for electricity. We cannot turn them off. They don't have money. For instance, water canals. Their tariff does not cover their expenses for electrical energy. They do not have money to pay. But someone has to define how it should be solved. Either the local councils should do that instead of them, or the national budget, or the tariffs should be changed for them to be capable to pay. But this is just one issue. It costs billions of hryvnia monthly, hundreds of millions of hryvnia monthly. And no one wants to solve this issue. And until this issue of water canals is solved, until the issue of the Teplokомуненерго solved, and other problems of the state mines, for instance, which also have huge indebtments for electrical energy, until we consider all of those issues in a comprehensive way and solve them, the expectations for investors coming here and doing something here, investing into the recovery of Ukrainian energy infrastructure, is totally vain. They're just looking at what is taking place and say, guys, we don't have sources where to take money from. We are ready to invest our money, but show how we'll have the return on investments, and we cannot show it now. If the government still manages to increase the prices for electricity now, which additional issues it may lead to? In particular, for the socially not protected population, the increase of the prices for products and so on. Honestly, it's just an illusion. When the prices for electricity are increasing, everybody will perish. It was just propagated for many years by irresponsible politicians, in my opinion. Let us look at the countries which have just had the full reform of the payment process by the population for gas, electricity, and so on. Moldova, a tiny country which is poorer than Ukraine in all of the rankings, GDP, and so on. In 2022, they conducted a reform. The people are now paying the market prices. They're getting targeted subsidies. And you know, somehow I do not hear, in spite of all of the efforts of the Russians to, in fact, inflict some protests, there are no protests. Everything is working. People who feel the lack for the payment, they get subsidies and they pay for energy. The situation has stabilized substantially in this sphere and everything is working. And Ukraine is still afraid even to look at that. So the increase of the tariffs may happen. It is not disastrous. But how can it take place for our country? Not to lead to any of the issues. Maybe it should be some incremental increase. How should it look like? When we speak about incremental increase, when you cut the tail in bits, it is much more painful. If we cut it just once. If you take a lizard and you cut its tail one by one, bit by bit, this is how the incremental increase of electricity prices look like. If we do something, we should prepare a very specific reform. It should be done in a comprehensive way. Not just the increase of tariffs for the population, but to have the whole complex. How do we solve the issues of the companies which are not paying? How do we solve the issues of the payments where, for instance, the water of Donbass? In energy, it is well known already, and it is partially providing the non-governmentally controlled areas of water supply. We cannot turn it off. Ukraine is paying for that, but the company itself does not have money. It is impossible to collect money physically. But if we turn them off, this is a huge issue for thousands and thousands of Ukrainians. So, such issues should be systematically solved. They need to have a very specific answer how it can be funded. And also we need to say specifically, for the subsidies of the population in case of market prices, we need this and that amount of money, we need this and that support from the partners, and definitely the European Union will be ready to support such a reform. I don't have any doubts in that, and to allocate certain funds for that, but we need to show what we are going to do, and really we should implement that. And then people will get the normal targeted assistance. Whoever has a problem to pay, I'm sure through DIA it is possible to register that, or in any other e-tool, without any long queues, because they used to say there will be long queues to the departments of state authorities and people will be humiliated writing lots of statements. No, now it can be done electronically, it can be done online, and totally calmly they can develop the tools which will help people feel nice. So what will be the components of the new tariff? Will it foresee the repairment of the equipment destroyed by Russians? We don't have any other source. The energy sphere is such a sphere that whatever is happening, the consumer is paying, because the consumer needs the goods. We would like to have lighting, we would like the heating to work, we would like internet to work, we pay for whatever is happening. If we would like the energy system to be restored, we are paying for that. How? Through which tools? Using which tools? How long shall we pay for that is a different issue. But still, in any case, the consumer will pay. The international assistance is being provided, but the donors will not provide the necessary money to restore our energy through grants. It is not real. We are speaking about billions. So it will definitely be loans, those will definitely be private investments, and then there is the issue whether consciously we will implement the reform and create the conditions as quickly as possible to get those investments, or we shall wait until we have the total ruinage and without any shelling will be obliged to introduce serious restriction graphs, and then we will start the process. This is the only way, the only choice of the Ukrainian authorities, either this or that way. Which scenario to choose is the question to the government. So concluding, whether the government really increase the tariffs during this year or they will delay it. My personal forecast, the issue will be delayed. So it's not relevant, as well as the increase of any other prices for communal services. I think yes. Moreover, well, I cannot be responsible for the government actions. I can think only or assume. If I were a prime minister who would be excited about that, I would create a target model, what I'd like to do. Not to have any debts left, for people to know, so as people knew how they pay for communal services and electricity, so as we knew where we get gas from for the next season and how. I would create the model of the target market, and all the partners would definitely join, everybody would be happy to work on that. And the very specific plan how to achieve this model. And then step by step we could define when each of the steps should be implemented, and I would tell the Ukrainians why it should be done, when it will be done, and which consequences we are all expecting for. Then it will be working. This is a perfect plan, right? But in fact, if this increase is not take place because of the electoral risks, because of the lack of money for the compensation for some of the layers of the population, I would say because everybody is afraid of electoral risks. That's how I assess that. And it may lead to really serious electoral risks when we are out of electricity. Thank you. Maybe there are any questions among the journalists. There are no questions. Thank you, Oleksandr, for this conversation. Let me remind you that we were speaking about the electricity price growth in Ukraine. The Media Center Ukraine of Current Forum will come back to you tomorrow. We are working on the announcements. Stay with us.